Hey, what's up, guys? This is Mike here with Ninja Signals Trading. Today we are doing part one of our support and resistance module and video. So, support and resistance is a very basic concept, and I know a lot of you probably already know this, but it's always good to review. But this is a basic concept, but it's actually very powerful, used in everyday trading. So, today I will go over part one and the basics of support and resistance principles. In part two, it will be released especially to the group that goes over some more advanced and psychology behind support and resistance levels. So let's get into support and resistance. So what is support and resistance, right? So in trading, you have buyers and sellers that causes price to either go up or down, right? If you have more buyers, price goes up. If you have more sellers, price goes down. So what a support level is if there's a lot of, if at a certain level or region, so a lot of the times support level will be a hard level, like it'll be one number, right? But most oftentimes support will be, or resistance will be a region. So what this means is if there's heavy buying interest at a certain region, that level will get supported. So for example, if there's very heavy buying interest at this region, when price comes down to it, it won't go through, at least on the first pass, right? It'll bounce through and go back up. So that is what support means. So think about it, if there's a lot of buyers at a specific level, that level will get supported. Same thing with resistance, but just think about it as flipped, right? If there's a lot of selling interest in a region, okay, then that region will have a lot of resistance, right? So you think about this. If there's a lot of sellers that willing to sell or short at this level, when price comes into it, it will go back down because the sellers overpower the buyers at that given time. So that's a resistance level. So there's different ways that we find support and resistance that gets more into more into in-depth technical analysis, but it's very simple. So if you look at charts, supports could be easily identified. So this reason that I showed you right here, price keeps bouncing up from it and currently has bounced up from it, right? Same thing with resistance, this zone, price keeps getting rejected off of it. So a couple of things to know about support and resistance. It's important to look at the time frame. So we're on a 4-hour time frame. We can look at this on a daily time frame. The higher the time frame, the stronger the support or the resistance, right? If we zoom down to 1 minute, okay, if we zoom down to the 1 minute chart, we look at the 1 minute chart, so we have support around this level, but this is the 1 minute chart, so this support won't be as strong as the 1 day chart, right? So a couple of things to know about support and resistance, right? So when support and resistance starts, the more it gets hit, the weaker it becomes. So this is very strong support, so it's been hit one. So after price came back up, hit 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Usually after the fourth, if you have 5, 6, 7 touches, the support would get weaker. And you can also identify support getting weaker by the level of by how much it bounces from the level. So you can tell this level is very, very, very strong because the last bounce took it all the way up to all-time highs, right? So if we zoom in, go to the 15-minute chart. So let me find a good example for you guys right here. Okay. So this is a great example. We have a support region right here. Okay. So the initial bounce, was pretty high. Second bounce a little bit weaker. Third bounce, pretty decent, but by the time you get into fourth bounces, they just get weaker and weaker and weaker. And this is how you can tell the support is getting weaker as well, because the bounces are getting smaller and eventually you break through, right? So I'll go over this concept a little bit later as well. So that's one thing to know about support and resistance, is the more times that it's tapped, the weaker that it gets. And you can tell the more the price bounces away or gets rejected off of support or resistance, um, so the further that it moves away from the support and resistance after a touch suggests a stronger support level. You can also tell by volume transacted too, but we won't go over there. So the basic concepts to know is when you have a level that price previously gets support or rejected at, that's your support and resistance level or zone. But also broken support or resistance turns into, so broken support turns into new resistance, broken resistance turns into new support. And here's what I mean. So you have this resistance zone right here, obviously. Okay. So it rejected once off of it, pulled back 30%, had a secondary rejection smaller, so you can tell it's getting weaker, of 8%, right? So then the price blasts through. So as we said, broken resistance turns into support, right? So theoretically, this should be now support. Now look what happens, right? We come through. So we probably extend this box a little bit. The same. A lot of the times these support and resistance areas are looked at as regions. As you can tell, this didn't come down and fully tested support, so it was a strong region. Price did not even back test it. It rebounded before it even back tested it. So as you can see right here, even on the giant crash from we call it the Elon Musk dump, right? Price still initially bounced off of our support box. So even though it went through eventually, we still found it as pretty strong support first time through, right? And what do we say? Broken support then turns into resistance. Look at that. So far has rejected once, twice, and price is still below the resistance. So we call that back testing. So there you have it, guys. If you map out your basic support and resistance levels, this could be off of prior support and resistance, or this could be off of other advanced methods that I will talk about in the part 2 video. If you map them out and use them with other techniques, I mean, a lot of times this could be used on its own, but if you use it with other technical analysis tools, this is probably one of the most simple but most powerful tools in technical analysis. All right, guys, hope you've enjoyed and learned something from this. I'll see you in part 2.